Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
How did you meet Miss Garcia?
She's actually my cousin.
Okay. You're Asian. You're Latina, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that through...
Through marriage.
Oh, through marriage. Okay.
Yeah. We're outlaws. We're outlaws, not in-laws.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. First-time homeowner Andrew Waters claims he was put into a financial and legal bind after he purchased a property from the defendant. Mr. Waters is suing Michelle Kim in the amount of $10,000. Ms. Kim claims she was very upfront with the plaintiff, and she feels he should have done his own research on the property.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get up at the times. Mr. Waters, let's talk about this case with you purchasing this home and got a little surprise there, right?
Yes, Your Honor. So what happened was I moved out here to California from Pittsburgh about 4 years ago.
All right.
And I was really eager to find a place to live and not pay rental fees the whole time I'm out here.
Be a homeowner in
Rather
California.
Pay a mortgage.
Tell me about this property.
So I went and saw the property. I didn't actually see the interior of the property. I took an external walking tour, and everything looked great. It was a duplex, a two-unit, so I was hoping to live in the front unit and then rent the back unit out as a rental income property.
Let's have a conversation with Ms. Kim.
Yes.
You were the broker representing...
The seller.
The seller.
Yes.
And tell me about this particular property.
Well, it was a fabulous buy. It happened to be in foreclosure.
Oh, it was
and,
foreclosure.
Yes, and two-unit. It was a duplex.
Yes.
With a detached garage in the back.
All right.
And it was, the current owner had a temporary rental situation going on, I imagine because of the foreclosure.
A temporary rental situation with the second of the two duplexes?
No,
I mean, there was a duplex. One was for the primary person.
Yes, the primary person.
And then there was a rental.
Correct.
And we talked, the issue was the detached garage.
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the issue with the garage?
Well, I don't perceive it to be an issue, but at the time, the current owner at that time was renting it out on a temporary basis.
The previous owner had two tenants. One in the detached garage, one in the other portion of the
One that
duplex.
lived in the main house, and then the detached garage was more like temporary, kind of like Airbnb.
And when you were showing the property, was it apparent that the detached garage was in fact a place where you would have someone residing?
Like a guest house. You know?
It looked like a guest house.
It looked like a guest house.
And you didn't think anything of that?
Well, no, actually, when I met with Mrs. Kim, she informed me that the current owners were renting out that unit on a short-term basis.
You were looking at potentially having someone in the other portion of the duplex as well as the detached garage.
That was not my initial intention. However, when the broker told me that that's what the other owners were doing, and when I realized there was income potential in that opportunity,
you were like, cha-ching!
I figured, why not? Yeah, especially coming from Pittsburgh, where the market is a little bit different, real estate laws are different. If you want to house a family member, if you want to rent something out, I mean, you pretty much just do it.
Right.
There's not as much oversight as there is with the California
You make an agreement,
system.
you make an offer, his offer was accepted.
Yes.
What happened after that, Ms. Kim?
The property closed. He wanted to close as soon as possible. I had 5 or 6 interested parties as well.
Okay.
And we made every effort to expedite it for him because, you know, his story appealed to me, how he just came out here, he wanted to be a homeowner. And so with all those people that were pushing to buy the property, he seemed like a great candidate. His agent brought me an offer, and we took it from there.
And then who made the decision to get the home inspection? Well, I mean, what was that? Because sometimes the buyer says, I will cover the cost, or the seller will cover the cost. It was decided here that
Well, I always advise anybody that I speak to that's involved in a real estate transaction to get an inspection.
Right.
It's in our contract.
Okay.
Actually, a buyer's inspection
And then the
advisory.
question of who pays for the inspection, in this particular instance, the buyer, you, Mr. Waters, were to pay for that home inspection.
That is correct.
And the purpose, for those who may not know, is to make sure that there's no secrets or there's full disclosure. You know exactly what you're buying and there's no surprises, correct?
That's correct.
Ms. Garcia, I want to bring you in. How many home inspections have you actually done?
About 600
And that's over the course of how long? How long have you been doing this job?
for the last 5 years.
5 years, okay. You've been busy. And how did you come to choose Ms. Garcia as your inspector?
She was recommended to me by Mrs. Kim.
All right. And then how did, well, this is what I need to know. When you suggested Ms. Garcia, did you indicate a list of individuals or just her?
Just her.
Just her. All right. And did you put it in writing or did you just tell him?
No, I just told him.
You told him.
It's
All right.
typical in our business. We do that.
Okay. How did you meet Ms. Garcia?
She's actually my cousin.
Okay. You're Asian. You're Latina, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that through?
Through marriage.
Oh, through marriage. Okay.
Yeah. We're outlaws. We're outlaws, not in-laws.
Coming up on America's Court.
I told him how the current owner was using it. I did not suggest to him that that is what he should do.
And later,
But then I started to feel my throat constrict, and I know what that means. That means I'm having an allergic reaction.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of first-time homeowner Andrew Waters, who is suing Michelle Kim for $10,000.
Mr. Waters, I'm looking at, and there's several documents that I know we have to deal with, but none of which is the inspection report or any sort of contract that you made with Ms. Garcia.
Your Honor, I have it.
You have it?
Yes.
Let me take a look at that, Deputy Thomas. Yes, please. Okay. The front page discusses that you have a limited liability clause.
Yes.
What was the cost of your report?
$625.
All right. Mr. Waters, when you made the purchase of the property, you were pleased, and then something happened.
That's correct.
Proceed, sir.
So I'd owned the property for about 18 months,
Yes.
and things were going great. I had rental income coming in from the duplex, and I also had my resident in the temporary dwelling that I thought was approved.
The person that you had in the other portion of the duplex, were they there the entire time, even when you moved in?
Yes, that's correct.
And what about the person that was in the detached garage?
He was there the whole time. That was,
Those people didn't leave.
No, they didn't leave.
Okay, and so you're getting money from both of them.
Yes, that's correct.
And then that's when it becomes an issue because someone came to your house.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Housing Commission came to my home, just doing every 3 years they do a checkup apparently. They come and check rental income to make sure that the landlords aren't acting as slumlords and they're not taking advantage of, the less wealthy populations. So he knocked on my door and I was happy to show him the rental properties. I said, I have a tenant living in the middle duplex property right now. He's home, so I can't show you that property. And I have a tenant living in the back temporary dwelling. He is not home, so I can't actually show you that property. And the gentleman, the inspector from the commission, the LA Housing Commission said, that's fine, I'll just come back some other time, no big deal. And then about 3 weeks later, I get some
You get this
paperwork.
notice.
The abatement notice, correct.
That Ms. Garcia knew that this detached garage really wasn't inhabitable.
Absolutely.
What do you say about that?
Well, I told him you cannot use this for a permanently rent. This is for it's kind of if you have your relatives visiting you, they can sleep there, but they cannot live permanently.
And Ms. Kim, when he bought the property, the two people never left.
I told him how the current owner was using it. I did not suggest to him that that is what he should do. Now, if he derived that from what he heard me say and concluded that he wanted to collect money from the back unit, that was not on my advice.
Fair enough. Well, but Ms. Garcia, is there anywhere in your, and I'll let you take a look at this, is there anywhere in your report that says that detached garage is not up to code.
No.
Because telling him about the stove and the shower is one thing, but telling him this is not code approved, that would be something that an inspector would do, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
But
Here's the issue. You signed a contract from her saying that if she's wrong for whatever reason, the most you get is what?
$625.
Why did you sign that?
It was a matter of expediency. I knew that this particular property was going to move fast in the LA.
Because you were getting monies from the person in the detached garage.
That's correct, yes.
And the housing authority said you can't collect that money because they're living in a substandard place.
Yes, that's correct.
And because the tenant has been there for this period of time, you have to pay that tenant $10,000
That is correct.
to move and get situated somewhere else.
In theory, Mrs. Kim has to pay.
No, this is like an desperate attempt
okay,
on
I
his part
get
to
it.
get the
I
money
get
from
it.
me.
And you're saying, why should I have to pay
Ridiculous.
this tenant $10,000? Your other tenant is fine. It's the one in the detached garage.
The one that I'm going to have to relocate, yes.
All right. The question is, Ms. Kim, why shouldn't you be liable for the monies that he is now out of pocket?
Well, first of all, I was not his agent. My fiduciary duty lied with the seller. He had an agent. That agent should have advised him to go and research permits, square footage, zoning, whatever he needed to do to satisfy his legal right to do whatever he wanted with the property.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. We have a contract as to Ms. Garcia. You knowingly, willingly, understandably said, I will accept that this is limiting my abilities to recover loss. Ms. Garcia, you will pay him $625 for your error with respect to your inspection. The issue really becomes one of you, Ms. Kim.
Me?
Because, yes, you. Because if you are a broker
Yes.
and you say to someone, here's a list of names of people that you may want to consider. I'm not saying go with them. I'm providing it for you. I'm making full acknowledgement of I don't have anything involved here. I'm disclaiming that I have a vested interest. I'm merely providing a service.
I didn't force
The
him
issue,
to use
you're
her.
not talking. We're not having a dialogue. We're having a monologue.
Okay.
The remainder of that $10,000, which is essentially $9,375, you will get that as it pertains to Ms. Kim.
What?
Now, what you want to do between you and Ms. Garcia, that's on you.
Wait.
That is the order.
May
Case
I
closed.
say something?
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $10,000.
I'm extremely happy with the judge's ruling. Hopefully this will prevent these two from taking advantage of any future home buyers.
I'm in total shock. It's the buyer's responsibility to do their own due diligence when they buy a property.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
The costume is hilarious. It's hilarious. And
When it's not trying to kill you.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Benjamin McNulty thought he was going to have a normal workday until he got a horrible allergic reaction from a costume given to him by the defendant. Mr. McNulty is suing Valerie Patine in the amount of $800. Ms. Patine claims she's not responsible for the plaintiff's allergic reaction because Mr. McNulty was supposed to inform her of his allergies.
Mr. McNulty, you have this case involving having some sort of reaction to a costume that you had to wear.
Yes, sir. It was an adverse allergic reaction to natural latex.
What made you decide, I'm going to do this? Because obviously you were getting compensated for it, right?
Well, I really was doing it to help out her family's business.
Okay.
on
Is
the
that a
urgent
yes? You were being compensated to wear a costume and twirl a sign.
note. Correct.
Yes. Okay. Now let me go to Ms. Patine. Whose idea was it to come up with putting someone in a costume and twirl a sign?
It was my
It was your
idea.
idea. And you came to him and said, are you interested in doing this? I'll pay you X amount of dollars.
I did. I was actually at his dad's house,
She was over nosing around in our business.
What I need to know is there was a conversation between the two of you regarding compensation to put on a costume and twirl a sign.
Yes.
And if you had issues with it, did you communicate to her, I don't know if I want to do this? This
Not
is not
directly.
my thing? Okay. If you didn't want to do it, you didn't have to do it. Did you need the money?
I did need the money, however...
Okay, well then that's why you agreed to do it.
Coming up on America's Court.
The costume is hilarious. It's hilarious. And
When it's not trying to kill you.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Benjamin McNulty, who is suing Valerie Patine for $800.
the costume is hilarious. It's hilarious. And
When it's not trying to kill you.
how is it that the costume was trying to kill you?
Well, you see, the inside of the costume was
Yes, sir.
lined with natural latex, which I am allergic to, which she is aware of.
I didn't know that you thought this was a bad idea. He actually
Well,
volunteered.
you would have known by now because he's suing you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely know by now. I'm really disappointed about that.
Okay. Did you tell her, just so you know, I'm allergic to natural latex?
No, but she had previous knowledge of my
You
allergy.
said
knowledge.
she knew. How
Yes.
would she know if you hadn't told her?
As I said before, she owns a home and garden store. They sell gloves. I'm in there to buy gloves. Actually, as a matter of fact, my wife, Crystal, was in there just last month in March to buy gloves for the house, and she specifically bought silicone so that I could use them too.
Benjamin,
How-
my store.
Ma'am, I got this.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
You put on this watermelon costume, and what happened?
I started to feel my throat constrict, and I know what that means. That means I'm having an allergic reaction.
All right, you had a reaction. You've given me a pay stub and an invoice for the hospital because you suffered from having contact with the latex on your neck and face area.
Yes, sir.
You had a deductible, but you still had out-of-pocket expenses.
Yes.
Why are you showing me the pay stub? Because I take it you're saying you missed work,
Yes, for 4 days.
and she's supposed to pay you.
Yes.
I got it. So based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the defendant. There must be something wrong with you if you think that because this woman bought you a costume and you didn't specify the types of fibers or the materials that you were allergic to, that she would somehow be able to read your mind. You know, you must live somewhere where the buses don't run.
I just feel, though, I'm a manager.
We're not
I
having
feel
a conversation right now. Your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I'm really sorry about what happened to Benjamin, but how was I to know that he was allergic to natural latex?
when looking for a new job, I need to be more upfront about the severity of my allergy to natural latex.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment.